Hello, dear candidates. Welcome to the GCE Maths panel. This presentation is a guide of June 2020 paper 1 for ordinary level and the intermediate level. You would have noted that with the change in the way things are being done in the country, both the general and the technical write the same paper 1 for ordinary level mathematics. Alright, so we begin with the questions. Question 1 reads, simplify 6.42 times 10 times 0.03. So when you just punch this on your calculator, you have a value of 1.926. Value of 1.926. Question number 2, the value of 4 in this number is the value of 4 there. The position of 4 is the second after the decimal marker or point. So the value of 4 is 0.04. Question number 3, given that minus 3 is less than or equal to x, then the symbol, normally that symbol is the less than or equal to symbol. This is less than or equal to, it points to the left. For greater than or equal to, it normally points to the right. Question 4, evaluating 14 on 3 divided by 7 on 2 gives. So we just have to multiply the first by the reciprocal of the second. So that will give us 14 over 3 times 2 over 7. 7 here 1, 7 here 2. So our answer will be equal to 4 on 3. So that gives us 4 on 3. The key is D. Question 4. So question 5 now. Given that number which is shown, to write this number in standard form, you have 3.45. You move the decimal points to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 times. So times 10 to the power minus 4, since you are moving it to the right. So we have times 10 to the power minus 4. So the key to this question is B. Question 6. We are given that number, to write that number to 3 significant figures. So the third significant figure is at the second 0 after 5. But the number after it will affect it. So we round up the 737 into 1000. So this gives us 501,000. This special case, 501,000. So the key here is C. Question number 7. A computer can print 1800 words in 5 minutes. Working at the same rate, the number of words it can print in 7 minutes is, here we can do simple cross multiplication. So we have 5 minutes gives 1800 words. So in 7 minutes it will give, let's call it x. So our x will be equal to, we cross multiply. So to cross multiply, we'll have 7 times 1800. All of this divided by 5. And our result will be equal to 2520. So the key here is A. That brings us to question 8. Given that 5 over 8 of the children in the school are boys, the ratio of boys to girls is, this question is direct. So we can read this question as 5 out of the 8 parts. So we can divide the children into 8 parts, and 5 parts will be boys. How many parts are left for girls? We have 3 parts. So this gives us the ratio. The ratio is 5:3. B. Question 9. The distance between 2 points A and B on map is 7 centimeters. Given that the distance AB is 21 kilometers on the ground, the scale of this map is So the scale is given by the dimensions on paper, that is 7 centimeters, is to real dimension, that is 21 kilometers. So we now express in the same units and simplify. So 7 centimeters will remain 7 centimeters, but we know that 1 kilometer is the same as 100,000 centimeters. So multiply this by 100,000. 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. So we have 7 here, 1, and we have 7 here, 3. So our result will be equal to 300,000. So our map scale will be 1 is to 300,000. 300,000. So our key here is D. Key here is D. Question 10. An infinite set in the following is, well, the only infinite set that we have here is the set C, because it has no end. An infinite set either has no beginning or has no end. So the only infinite set here is C for question number 10. Question number 11, you are given that set B with elements 1, 2, 3. How many subsets are in the set B? Now the number of subsets of each or of a given set is given by 2 to the power n, where n is the number of elements in that set, and this set we have 3 elements, so this will give us 2 to the power 3. So this set will have 2 to the power 3 subsets B. Question 12, you are given the statement P, he is short, and Q, he is fat. The negation of P and Q is, so normally the negation of P here is, this one is equal to, because P is short, so the negation of P is the opposite, so he is tall. He is tall. Therefore the negation of P and Q will give us he is tall and fat. He is tall and fat. So our key here will be A. He is tall and fat. That is question number 12. Question number 13. We look at the table that has been given to us. So what does this table represent? So in this table, X will represent, when you look at the table, see that P and Q are true whenever one is true, and they are false only when both are false. And this type of statement is the AND, is the OR statement, rather, is the OR, because the OR statement is only false when both are false. So this is the P or Q, the OR statement. The OR statement. So this gives us A as our answer. This gives us A as our answer for question number 13. We can now move to question number 14. Question number 14, you are given that function f of x equals x squared minus 5x minus 6. So to find f of 2, we just have to substitute. So f of 2 will just be equal to 2 squared minus 5 times 2 minus 6, and this will give us 4 minus 10 minus 6. So 4 minus 10 minus 6, and this will give us a value of 4 minus 10 is minus 6, minus 6 minus 6 minus 12, so minus 12. So our key here is D. Question number 15. In the arrow diagram in figure 2, there is a relationship between M and N. What is the domain? The domain just refers to elements in the first set that are being mapped onto elements in the second. So the domain consists of 1, 2, 3, 4. So our domain set has elements 1, 2, 3, and 4. And this corresponds to B equation 16. Given the function f is such that x is mapped onto 2x minus 3, the inverse function is, well, we can get a shortcut instead of solving. So what they have done here is they multiplied by 2, then the next thing they did was to subtract 3. So our inverse function will be, we take x, instead of subtracting 3, we start with the end. Instead of subtracting 3, we add 3. And now, instead of multiplying by 2, we divide by 2. So our inverse function is x plus 3 on 2c. We can equally solve it. So we say let y be equal to 2x minus 3. Then we solve for x. We'll have y plus 3 being equal to 2x. Dividing both sides by 2, we will have our x to be equal to this. Therefore, you can now replace x by y by x. So we'll have x plus 3 on 2 to be equal to, this function is f, so f inverse of x. So we have the same results. Question 17. In figure 3, the diagram that represents a reflex angle is, question 17, a reflex angle. So what's a reflex angle, by the way? A reflex angle is any angle that is always greater than 180 degrees. Note that an acute angle is 0 to 90, and obtuse angle is from between 90 and 180, and a reflex angle is greater than 180. So the only reflex angle that we have here is the angle, yes, which one? The angle A. Because when you look at A, that angle there is greater than 180 degrees. C is less than 180 degrees. D is exactly 180 degrees, but a reflex angle must be strictly greater than 180 degrees. So the answer here is A. So number 17, we have A, number 17. Then number 18, in the diagram, the plane figure is, if you look at A is a cone, so it's a solid figure. B is a cylinder and it's a solid figure. C is a square. C is a plane figure, and Z is a solid figure, is a cube. So the only plane figure that we have here is C. So number 18, we have C. Question number 19. The sum of the interior angles of a triangle is, of course, you know that the sum of interior angles for a triangle is 180 degrees, right? Yeah, so we have B. Question 20. We are given the figure 4, which shows two similar cubes. The ratio of their lengths is 1:2. The length of the smaller cube is 5 centimeters. And what will be the volume of the bigger cube? So they've given us the ratios. Small is to big, we have 1:2. So we can do this by, if the length of one side of the smaller one is 5 centimeters, then the bigger one should be times 2. So that gives us 10 centimeters. Therefore, the volume of that cube will be equal to 10 times 10 times 10. And that gives us 1000 cubic centimeters. Alternatively, the students may decide to get the volume of the small one. In this case, you have 5 times 5 times 5 times the volume scale. So that volume scale is to the power 3. So the volume scale here for the bigger one will be times 2 times 2 times 2. So times 2 to the power 3. And this will still give us 1000. And the result here is C, as we just mentioned. Then question number 21. In the figure 5 shown, the lines that enclose the angle theta are Now this is how we get the angle, the lines that includes the angle. We start at the end, that is at P and at R. So we have PQ and we equally have RQ. So you start outside and move inwards. So you have PQ and RQ. These are the lines that include that angle and called the arcs. So our key here in question number 21 is D. Question number 22. You are given figure 6 with O as the center. If angle SQR is 36 degrees, what is the value of angle theta? That is the value of angle theta. So looking at this diagram very well, you see that you can draw an arc here. This arc should be SR. Instead, this arc subtends an angle here P, and this angle here is theta at the point P. This same arc equally subtends an angle here at Q. Since this is the same arc that subtends the angle, this angle at Q and this angle at P are the same. So if this angle is 36, this one is also 36. So angle theta is 36 degrees. B. Question number 23. In figure 7, we have to find the value of the angle marked Y. That is actually a cyclic quadrilateral inside a square. Well, there is an issue with this question actually, because the two Y values must be the same. Here we have two Y's. What we have here should equally be two Y's. And the only assumption that we can use to solve, let us assume that we both have the two Y's, because if you assume that we have the Y, then there will be no answer there. So let's assume that what was to be given here is 2Y and 2Y. So what will be the value of angle Y? Normally we have to also take into consideration, we have to consider that the diagonal of this passes through the center of the circle. Let me just draw. This is O. We consider that this is diagonal. So here we have two Y's. Here we equally have two Y's. So now this is the diagonal. This diagonal passes through the center of the circle and is the diameter. So any angle subtended by this diameter must be equal to 90. It means that this angle here must be equal to 90 degrees. And if this 90 degrees is equal to 2Y's, so you have 2Y's is equal to 90 degrees, and a Y will be equal to 45 degrees. Otherwise, we need further information if you have to solve any other thing. So our key here is D. Question number 24. Given the circumference of a circle is 132 centimeters and taking pi's between 2 and 7, what will be the radius? So we know that circumference is given by 2 pi radius, and therefore the radius will be equal to circumference divided by 2 pi. So this will give us the radius to be equal to circumference 132 divided by 2 pi times 22/7. Since over 7, I have to send the 7 up, as it essentially says send it up. So when we simplify this, it will give us a value of 21 centimeters. So our key is A. So we have A as our answer. Question number 25. A solid cuboid of length 10 centimeters has a square cross section of side 8 cm. What is the volume? So you see, if it has a square cross section, then the volume can be given by side times length, since the cross section is a square, and this will give us 8 times 8 times 10, 640 cm cube. 640 cm cubed. You know, most students will go and consider 640 cm squared. That's a trap. So the answer here, the key here is D. Number 25, the key is D, not A. Key is D. So the answer must be in cm cube, because you have multiplied volume length by length by length. All right, question number 26. The points 3, 2 and the points 3, 2 in the Cartesian plane xy is found in there. So let us, this is our Cartesian plane. 3 minus 2, x is positive, so it can either be here or here, and y is negative, so this is the only point where this is the only possible place. If this is a y and this is x, so that point should be here. So it is found in, this is the first quadrant, this is the second quadrant, this is the third quadrant, and this is the fourth quadrant. So this point is found in the fourth quadrant. The fourth quadrant. So our key here is A. It's A. Question 27. The coordinates of the midpoint of the line segment joining the points A, 5, 6 and B, minus 1, minus 4 are. So our midpoint is given by the formula x1 plus x2 on 2, comma, y1 plus y2 on 2. And this will give us, when you simplify this, x1 and y1, you have 5 plus minus 1, so this will give us we have 5 plus minus 1 on 2, and then 6 plus minus 4 on 2. Simplifying this will give us the values of 5 minus 1, 4 and 2, 2. Then 6 minus 4, 2 divided by 2, 1. So this is our midpoints. We have the points 2, 1 for question number 27, and that gives us B. Question number 28. Given the equations of the straight lines x plus y equals to 4 and y equals 1 plus x, the coordinates of the point of intersection are. So it's just to solve this simultaneous equation, right? All right, so I will just substitute equation 2 into equation 1, and that will give me x plus, I know that my y is the same as 1 plus x. 1 plus x to be equal to 4. So I've replaced y by this value. So this now give me 2x to be equal to 3. I've carried the 1, I subtracted 1 from both sides, and those students like to say carry. Yeah. So we now divide both sides by 2. So I'm using the language that is easy for students, what they like to use. At times some of those terms may not make sense, but to make them understand better. So this is the value of x. X is 3 on 2. When we now substitute this 3 on 2 into the equation y equals 1 plus x, that will give us y to be equal to 1 plus 3 on 2. And 1 plus 3 on 2 will give us 5 on 2. So our coordinates at this point of intersection, we have 3 on 2 is 1.5, 1.5 for x, and y 5 on 2 is 2.5. So this is the point of intersection, and this gives us C as a key. That was question 28. Question 29. In the expression, what is the coefficient of x? For us to have the coefficient of x in this expression in number 29, we first of all have to expand. So we have 2x times 5. Alright, we have 2x times 5, 10x. And we have 2x times minus 3x, that is 2 times minus 3 is minus 6. And x times x is x squared. So what's the coefficient of x? Coefficient of x here is 10. They have not asked the equation of x squared. So our key here is A. Question 30. Given that x equals minus 4 and y equals 9, the value of y minus x squared is, so y minus x squared will be equal to, our y there is 9 minus x squared is minus 4 all squared. It's good to put it in brackets so that you don't make a mistake with the sign. So that gives us 9 minus 16, and 9 minus 16 is equal to minus 7. That is minus 7, right? Yeah, minus 7. So our key here is T. Okay, question number 31. Given the expressions 2xy and 6x squared y, the common factor is, so for the common factor, let us look at 2xy and 6xy. The coefficients, we have 2 and 6. The HCF of 2 and 6 is 2. Then now for the x, you have x and x squared. The HCF is x. Then we have y and y, so it's just y. So this is the highest common factor, 2xy. So the key here is C. The key is C. Question 32. Given that v equals pi radius squared L, expressing r in terms of v, pi, and L gives. So here we have to make r the subject of the formula. So to make r the subject of the formula, we have v, first of all, divide all through by pi L. So we have v over pi L is equal to the radius squared. Now for us to get the radius, you have to take the square root of both sides. So we take the square root of this side and the square root of this side, and that will give us r to be equal to v, all that over pi L square root. And which key is this? Okay, this is B. So our key is B. Our key is B. Now question number 33. And question number 33. The interval represented on the number line is, well, when you look at this interval, you see that at 2 it is open, and at 8 it is also open, and we have something like this. Something like this at 2 and at 8. So this interval is open at 2 and at 8, therefore means that the boundaries are not included. So B is not correct because B includes the boundaries, C is not correct because the left boundary is included, D is not correct because the right boundary is included. So the only correct answer here is A, 2, 8, with the two boundaries not included. Normally this one can equally be written as 2, 8, and with these things facing bit outwards. So this is another way to write it. So our key here is A. Key here is A. Question 34. Please, I hope as we are solving, you have a copy of this paper in your hand and you are following and solving at the same time, because if you are not doing that, then you are not actually doing drill and practice. It's very, very important in mathematics and other science subjects, as you know. You have to solve this paper and not just by watching. For a copy of this paper, you can visit our blog on www.gcemathpanel.blogspot.com, and you have papers for different subjects and a lot of material there. That brings us to question 34. Question 34. The inequality 3 minus 5x greater than or equal to 18. When you solve, we have 3 minus 5x greater than or equal to 18. So first of all, subtract 3 from both sides, or you say carry 3 to the right hand side. So minus 5x should be greater than or equal to, the plus 3 becomes minus 3 on the right hand side. So 18 minus 3 will give us 15. Then now we have to divide all through by minus 5. But note, with In the world of inequalities, whenever you have to divide or multiply by a negative number, you will have to reverse the sign. This one is greater than or equal to. When you reverse it, you become less than or equal to. So whenever you multiply or divide by a negative number, just a negative number, you have to reverse the sign. But for a positive number, it does not affect the sign. So this will now give us our x to be, instead of greater than or equal to be less than or equal to, because I'm dividing by a negative number, 15 over minus 5. And this will give us minus 3. This is a trap because many students will divide and they'll forget to change the sign, and most of them will take the answer to be A. And as these guys are very funny, they like to always put the wrong answer around the first answers so that you just tick. So the key here is for number 34, the key here is C. Question 35. Figure 8 is a network. The number of arcs is number of arcs just means the number of lines from one point to another. So we have, these are the number of the arcs that we have R to T, we have RS, we have ST. Though ST has two directions, we count it's just one arc, just that it is bidirectional. If you ask the number of all that arcs, it have been different. But number of arcs XT, though it's two directions, but it's just a single arc. And then from T to S, the other way, the other route equally is another arc. So we have TS. There are two of them. So we have the one down and the one up. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 4 of them. Alright, so we have B. Question 36. Given 5 to the power 2x equals 125, find the value of x. Well, this is the cheapest general certificate of education mathematics paper that I've seen so far. Maybe we thank the examiners. I'm sure it's due to the transition. This paper is really easy. So we have 5 to the power 2x to be equal to 125. Here, to solve x, we have to make the bases the same since the unknown exists as a power. So we know that 125 can be written as 5 to the power 3, because 125 is 5 times 5 times 5, which is 5 to the power 3. So 5 to the power 2x is equal to 5 to the power 3. Now that the powers are the same, we can equate the bases. Now that the bases are the same, we can equate the powers. So this will give us 2x to be equal to 3, and we divide both sides by 2. X will be equal to 3 on 2. So x will be equal to 3 on 2. That is for question number 36. So we have 3 on 2. The key is C. Question 37. The right angle triangle, the value of h is. When you look at this triangle, we see that no information has been given to us. They have not given any information. So, but there is something we can use. You cannot say that because I'm not giving any information, you have an advantage. No. When you look at the values A, B, C, and D, you find out that in B, there is a 13 there. And we can use Pythagorean triplets or triples to get the solution to this without solving. So for the Pythagorean triples, we have 3 squared plus 4 squared is equal to 5 squared. I'm sure all of you know this one. Another one is where all the three are whole numbers. We have 5, we have 12 and 13. Another one, we have 6, 8 and 10. So normally the last ones, these last numbers are the ends here, the hypotenuse. So this one corresponds to our equation. So our value there will be equal to 13. So we use 13 as our answer. So the key there is B. So here they wanted the knowledge of Pythagorean triples for question number 37. Question number 38. Given the triangle in figure 10 is a right angle triangle, what is the value of sine x? Sine x is given by, from Quartile, sine x is equal to opposite side over hypotenuse, and here our opposite side to that angle x is RQ. It's RQ divided by the hypotenuse. Hypotenuse is PQ. PQ. So sine x is RQ on PQ. So the key here is C for question number 38. Question 39 reads, in the figure shown, the angle of elevation of x from z is 50 degrees. What is the angle of depression of z from x? So normally this is what we have. In here we have 50 and z here, y and x. So what is the angle of depression of z from x? Now I have to make a horizontal line, and this will be the angle of depression d. But we know that this angle d, since this is a z, let me actually indicate, since this is a z line, you can start this is a z, or the transversal of a parallel line. So this angle here d must be equal to this angle here, 50 degrees. So therefore means that my d is equal to 50 degrees. Therefore means the angle of depression is equally 50 degrees. So we have A as answer for question number 39. Question 40. Given that A is equal to 5i plus 7j's and B is equal to 4i's minus 5j's, then find the vector A minus 2b's. To find the vector A minus 2b's. So A minus 2b should just be equal to, my vector A there is 5i's plus 7j's. So 5, 7 minus 2 times b. My b is 4 minus 5. So when we simplify this, we will have 5 minus 2 times 4, 8, and 7 plus, that's minus 2 times minus 5 plus 10. So finally we are having minus 3 and 17. So minus 3, 17. So the key here is D. Key is D. Key is D. Question 41. We have the vector OP to be equal to that. What is the direction of the vector OP? So the first thing is that OP is in the first quadrant. So the direction is given by arc tan y component on x component, or it's a tan inverse of y over x, and this will give us tan inverse of my y component is 1, x component is 2, and this will give you on the calculator a value of 26.6 degrees. Now, if you are using purple calculator, you will press 1 divided by 2 0.5. You press second function tan, it will give you 26.6 degrees. If you are using a higher calculator, you have to first of all enter it directly as it is here. You press shift, you press tan, and then you press 0, you enter 0.5 and you enter equal to, it gives the answer. So depending on the calculator you're working with, know what you have to do. And you're working with purple, make sure the calculator is in degrees, not in radians, because this angle is given in degrees. If it's in radians, we'll give you a different answer that you don't even understand what has been given. So be very careful with this. Question number 42. Two vectors AI and AI plus 2j's and 6i's plus 4j's are said to meet at right angles. The value of A is, so from question number 42, if these vectors meet at right angles, what does it mean? It means that normally their dot product should give you us a value of 0. Dot product will give us 0. So it therefore means A2 dot 64 should give us 0. And how do we do this? A times 6 is 6a's plus 2 times 4 is 8 should give us 0. And when we solve for this, A will be equal to minus 8 on 6, which is the same as minus 4 on 3. Minus 4 on 3. So this is giving us the answer C for question number 42. Now let us look at question number 43. In question number 43, we are given that matrix, and looking at that matrix, they want us to give the order of the matrix. And how do we get the order of a matrix? The order of a matrix is given by number of rows by the number of columns. So here, how many rows do we have? So let us count and see the number of rows that we have. So for 3, 1, 0, and minus 5, 7, 6, this is a matrix. Let us count. So this is row 1 and this is row 2. So we have 2 rows by how many columns? This is column 1, column 2, column 3, so by 3. So this is the order of this matrix. It is 2 rows, 1, 2, by 3 columns, 1, 2, 3. So this gives us D as answer. So the result here is D, number 43, D. Number 44, you have the matrix M equals that and N equals that. So what is M plus N? So for M plus N, we are just adding the corresponding entries. So our M plus N will be equal to this matrix. So you have in matrix M at position 1, 1, you have 3. At N, at that same position 1, 1, you have 5. So 3 plus 5. Then position 1, 2, you have 4 plus 2. So you can do the rest, right? 1 plus minus 3. Please make sure that you talk along as we solve. 1 plus minus 3. And then we have minus 2 plus 1. So what will be our final answer? We have 8, 6, minus 2, minus 1. So this is the answer. 8, 6 minus 2, minus 1. So the key here is C. Question 45. The image of the matrix XY translated by the matrix 6, 2 is minus 3, minus 2. What is the matrix XY? Well, a translation is done by addition. That's the translation. So that it moves from one point to another. So for us to have this matrix that was translated xy, we have xy was translated by the matrix 6 2. So plus 6 2. And the image is -3 -2. So from here we solve for xy, we will have to be equal to, when you carry this one to the right hand side, or you subtract this translation matrix from both sides, we'll have -9 -4. So this is what you have, -9 -4. So the key here is D for question 45. Question 46, we have the modes of the scores that and so on. So when you look at all of these numbers here, the number that occurs highest for question 46, the number that occurs the highest number of times is 2. And 2 occurs how many times? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. So 2 occurs the highest number of times. So the mode is 2. The mode is equal to 2. This gives us B for question 46. Alright, question 47. You are given that frequency distribution table. The number of classes in the above frequency distribution is number of classes. So let us count the number of classes. 1 to 5 is a class. 6 to 10 is another class. 11 to 15 is another class. 16 to 20 is another class. And 21 to 25 is another class. So how many classes are here altogether? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there are 5 classes. The answer here is D. So 46, we have 47, we have how many classes? We have 5 classes. The answer is C, 47C. Alright, 48. Question 48. The lower quartile of a cumulative frequency curve is at. Know that lower quartile is also called the 75th the 25th percentile. Lower quartile occurs at the 25th percentile, while the upper quartile occurs at the 75th percentile. Normally, the 50th percentile is the median. The 50th percentile is the median, or they also call it the interquartile range, as it is called. So the semi. Alright, so our key here is A. Question number 49. Question 49. Given the set S with elements from 1 to 10, the probability of selecting a prime number from set S is. The first thing is to get the prime numbers in this set. The first prime number is 2, next is 3, we have 5, and we have 7. Note that the prime number is a number that has only 2 factors, 1 and itself. And 2 is the only prime number that is an even number. All other prime numbers are odd numbers. So the number of prime numbers here, we have 4 prime numbers. So the probability will be, how many prime numbers are here? 4. How many numbers are there in total? 10. So probability will be 4 on 10, which you can simplify here 2, here 5. That giving us 2 on 5. So probability is to fit. So 49, our key is D. 49, our key is D. And please don't forget to subscribe to our channel and to visit our blog and follow us. You can equally follow us on Facebook every Sundays. We upload our lessons there if you cannot get to us on Facebook. So please don't forget to subscribe and to equally follow us. Equally, if you have some papers that are missing, or you check on our site and there's some papers that are not there and you can help, please help. Actually, we don't sell papers, so when you send to us and you upload, other students too from other difficult areas can have access. So we are counting on you so much. Question 50. Given the events E and F such that the probability of E and F is equal to the probability of E times probability of F, then the events E and F are set to be, normally when the probability of two events is equal to the product of their probabilities, then we saw these events are independent events. So events E and F are independent events. So the key is B. Thank you so much and stay tuned. We have already uploaded paper 2, sections A and section B for ordinary level, and the intermediate level will be available this week. So please, since this is paper 1 of the intermediate level, check and also watch the correction for intermediate level for all industrial excluding IH, and also for all commercial including IH. Thank you so much. Welcome to the GCE Math Panel, and bye bye. Hello out there to all the GCE candidates preparing for the exams this year. I am Dr. Miles, and in this video, we are looking at the correction of June 2020 Ordinary Level Mathematics Paper 2, Section A. You should be holding the equation in your hand as we look at the corrections. So the first question reads 2/3 plus 3/4 divided by 6 on 7. When you look at the equation you have in your hand, the first thing you have to do is BODMAS. So we have 2 on 3 plus 3 on 4 divided by 6 on 7 minus 11 on 12. The first thing to do here is the division, following the rule of BODMAS. So we have to do division first. And when we solve this part, it's going to give us 7 on 8. And how do I have the 7 on 8? That is 3 over 4 times 7 over 6. So we multiply by the reciprocal of the second number. So 3 here 1, 3 here 2. And that gives us all of these 7 over 8. So our operation now becomes 2 over 3 plus 7 over 8 minus 11 on 12. And you know very well from BODMAS that we can do addition and subtraction together. So we just need to look for the LCM here. And the LCM of 3, 8, and 12 is 24. 24 divided by 3 gives us 8 times 2, 16. Plus 24 divided by 8, 3 times 7, 21. Minus 24 divided by 12, 2 times 11, 22. And when we do this subtraction, we are left with 15 on 24, which when we further simplify, we are going to have 5 on 8. So the rule in this question is BODMAS. Question number 2. Question number 2, we are given the set A with elements from 0 to 4 in the set of integers, B with elements from -1 to 2 in the set of integers, and we are asked to list the elements of set A. So for set A, we have set A to be given by, these numbers are whole numbers, and the less than equal to means we should begin from 0. So we have 0, 1, 2, 3, and I cannot include 4 because the less than or equal to sign is not included. So I have to end at 3. Now the elements of set B, we begin from -1, then 0. So B has just 2 elements. Actually, it has another 1 because you have to end before 2. Then we are being required to look for the intersection of the sets A and B. So A intersection B here is going to give us A intersection B to be equal to, when we look, we see that some elements are actually common. We have 0 and we equally have 0, we have 1 and 1. So in this set of intersection B, we are going to have the elements 0, 1. And we have been asked to draw a Venn diagram to represent this set. So for our Venn, we are going to have this set A and set B. The universal set is there. This is set A, this is set B, and from set A, when we take out the 2 elements, we are left with 2 and 3, 2 and 3. And in set B, B has just 3 elements and 2 have been taken away, so we have just -1. So at this intersection here, the remaining elements, you have 0 and 1, which you put at the center because of space I cannot actually indicate. Question 3, we are actually given this logic table, which I'm going to draw. We have the logic table given by P, Q, alright, let me add 1 here, and the values we have been given true, 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 false, false, true, and false, false. So the first thing they want us to get the negation of which element of Q? Negation of Q. So whenever Q, negation just actually means you should invert or you take the opposite. So if Q is true, negation becomes false. Now here it is false, negation is true. Here it is true, negation is false, and false will give us true. The next thing on that table is not clear. You have P and a sign that is missing, and then you have negation of Q. Well, the different possibilities of this question, you have either P implies negative Q, or P and negative Q, or P or negative Q. You can look at all of these alternatives. Let me first of all start with P and not Q. So in an exam like this, where the sign has a problem, putting one of these choices is an advantage to you rather than leaving the question, because you can never know on what decision the examiners will take. So just choose one of the alternatives. Maybe you correct it there on the paper, adjust it, and you put in the values if you have not been told to correct anything. So let us take P and not Q. So for a P and not Q, note that the AND statement is always true, only when both are true. So P and not Q, let me change the color. So here we see this one is true, but this one is false. So true, false give us false. True, true, true. False, false, false. False, true, false. And equally, if they give us but P or not Q, in this case my table will now be like this. Know that the or is true when one or more are true. So P and not Q. So if you have true, false will give us true, 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 true. False, false will give us false here, and false, true will give us true. So there is a third possibility they can talk about. P implies negative Q, and this one is one that many students always make a mistake on. P implies not Q. So for P and not Q, this one is false only when the second is false alone. When the second alone is false, this is false. This is a shortcut you can give to students. So in this case, we will have the values false and the rest are true, true, true. Okay, that brings us to question number 4. Question number 4 deals with inequalities, and the first question there, or the first part of the question reads, minus 7 less than 5x minus 2 is less than or equal to 3. So this is what we have for this particular question, and we can break it into 2 to solve and represent a solution in the number line, and we can equally solve this particular one too directly. Let me solve directly and I'll equally break it into 2. So we have to focus on what we have at the center here. So the first thing that is disturbing us here is this minus 2. So we'll add minus through all through the equation. So we'll now have minus 7 plus 2 less than 5x minus 2 plus 2 less than or equal to 3 plus 2. And when we do this, you will be left with a minus 5 less than 5x less than or equal to 5. And you see that 5 is common, so we can divide all through by 5. And when we divide all through by 5, we'll have minus 1 less than 5x less than or equal to, less than x rather, less than or equal to 1. And you can actually represent this as solution on the number line. Negative 1 is not included, so we don't shade. On the other hand, positive 1 is included, so we shade. Indicate this line. This is minus 1 and this is 1. So these are the values of our x that satisfy this inequality. The second method to do this is actually to break it into 2 parts. So you see, let me show you how I'm going to break it and using a union. So this question will be written as minus 7 less than 5x minus 2 union 5x minus 2 less than or equal to 3. So solve these are like these are simple linear inequalities. On the left hand side, we add 2 on both sides. So we have minus 7 plus 2 is giving us minus 5 less than 5x. We divide all through by 5, we'll have minus 1 is less than x. So union on the right hand side now. What do we have? On the right hand side, we have 5x minus 2 less than or equal to 3. So we add 2 as well, all through will be left 5x to be less than or equal to 5. When we divide all through, we'll have x to be less than or equal to 1. Union. So we can bring, if you look very well, you see that these x are actually together. So we can bring them together and we merge these two to have minus 1 is less than x less than or equal to 1, and we represent a solution as well on the number line. The next question, that is question number 5. Question number 5 is, we are given functions. The function g and h are defined on the set of real numbers such that g is such that x is mapped onto x squared plus 2, and h is such that x is mapped onto x plus 2. Now we are supposed to find g of 2. So g of 2 just means in the function g, substitute that x by 2. So this will give us 2 squared plus 2. 2 squared is 4 plus 2, that gives us 6. Then we have to look for h inverse of x, that's the b part of the equation. So to look for h inverse of x just means we should solve for x in that function. So in this case, we'll say let our h of x be equal to y. So we'll have y to be equal to x plus 2. That's for the h function. And from here now, we can subtract 2 from both sides. We'll have y minus 2 to be equal to x. And when we have the x, now replace that x by h inverse of x. So h inverse of x will be equal to, we now replace y by x minus 2. So this is our solution, but it's better you write it like this: h inverse of x equals x minus 2. But normally, since this particular question was given in mapping form, it will be good to write your answer in mapping form. That is in the form h inverse is such that x is mapped onto x minus 2, because that was the original form of this question. Maybe at ordinary level they will not emphasize so much, but at advanced level it will really be emphasized. At times, another way to say this, to specify to the students, is that they will say giving your answer in the same form. In the same form means the question was asked in mapping form, give your answer in mapping form. And the C part of the question wants us to solve the composite function h of g of x, or to find the composite function h of g of x. We know that the composite function is a function of a function. So h of g of x will be equal to, that means in the function h, you replace x by g of x. So h of g of x will be equal to g of x plus 2. If you look at that function very well, you can see this. They have replaced x by g of x. I'll do the same thing on the right hand side, but I know that the value of g of x according to this question is x squared plus 2. So we'll have x squared plus 2 plus the 2 that is outside. That finally gives us x squared plus 4. So this is the composite function h of g of x, x squared plus 4. We now move to question number 6. Question number 6 is on variation. And in this question, we are being told that given that y varies directly as x, and so this is how we write it: y is equal to a constant times x. Normally, y varies directly as x. Y is equal to a constant times x, and y is 10 when x is equal to 1/3. Find the relationship between x and y. So we have already looked for the relationship, but this relationship is not okay. Why is not okay? Because we do not yet know the value of this k. We need the value of k to make the relationship complete. But we have an advantage that in the question we have been told that when y is 10, x is 1/3. So we are going to substitute this in this question. So when y is 10, that will be equal to k times the value of x, which is 1 on 3. When we cross multiply, this will imply that our k is equal to 30. So therefore, our relationship that exists is y is equal to, this step is very important, 30x. So this is the relationship that exists between the variables x and y. Hence, they're saying that we should find the value of x when y is 6. This is when the value of x when y is 6. So in this case, we just say 6 is equal to 30x. And from here, it implies that our x will be equal to 6 on 30. And that 6 on 30 gives us a value of 1 on 5. So the value will be 1 on 5. That is what we'll have as a solution. That brings us to question number 7. Question number 7 reads: the angle of elevation of the top of a tower from a point M. With this type of questions, just candidates, it's very important that you make a sketch of it. When you make a sketch, you actually see exactly what they're asking for. So the angle of elevation of the top of a tower from a point M 20 meters away. So the angle of elevation of the top of a tower. Let the top of a tower be our T. Let's call it T. and this angle of elevation from a particular point M is given by 50 degrees. This is 50 degrees, and we have 050 degrees in bearing form. Then let the foot of that tower be O, and you have been told that the distance from the foot to the point M is 20 meters. You have 20 meters. Now what are we required to look for? The height of the tower to 1 decimal place. They want us to find the value of this height to 1 decimal place. Well, here what you can do is to use a trigonometric ratio. What do we have already? We are looking for opposite and we have adjacent. So we can use from SOHCAHTOA, we can use tan 50 degrees is equal to opposite, which is h, over adjacent 20. And from here, it implies that our h will be equal to 20 times tan 50 degrees. And 20 times tan 50 degrees will give us a value of 23.8 meters to 1 decimal place. To 1 decimal place, that is the value that we will have. And B, we are being asked to look for the angle of depression of the point M from the top of the pole. The angle of depression of the point M. Now, to get the angle of depression from this point T, we make this dotted line which is horizontal, and we see that this angle like this, let us call this angle A. Since this line and this one form a Z, and this is a transversal of it, this angle 50 degrees must equal to angle A. So from the B part of the equation, the angle A, angle of depression, is 50 degrees. That is the angle of depression. Question number 8. We are being given that diagram, and we are being told that AEB is a semicircle and ABCD is the rectangle where AC is 20 meters and AB is 40 meters. To find the area of the shaded region. Note that to get the area of the shaded region, we just need to look for the area of rectangle minus area of semicircle. Semicircle is a half circle. So what's the area of the rectangle? The area of the rectangle is given by length times width, and that gives us 20 times 14, which gives us a value of 280 squared meters. Then the area of the semicircle is equal to pi radius squared divided by 2, or we take pi diameter squared on 4. Normally the radius of this circle is having a value of, the radius of this circle is giving us a value of, what do we have for AB? AB is 14, so the radius is 7. So we have pi times 7 times 7, all this on 2. And what will this give us? That gives us 77 squared meters. 77 squared meters. Therefore, our area, the shaded portion, will be equal to 280 minus 77. 280 minus 77. That's giving us a value of 203 squared meters. So that's it for question 8. Question number 9. And question number 9. We have been told in question number 9 that the sum of the first n terms of a sequence is given by Sn equals that. That's the sum of the first n terms of a sequence. It's given by 2n squared, that is Sn, is equal to 2n squared minus n, where n is an element of z star. N is an element of z star. Z star is very important. N being an element of z star, normally they have not mentioned whether it's z star plus or z star minus, but you must always know when you talk about z star, the star means excluding 0, and in sequences we are always talking about positive terms. So you can have the first term here is when n is equal to 1, second term when n is equal to 2. So another way of writing this z star in this particular equation is just like to write n star, n star, because we're not talking about negative terms, and the first element of n star is 1. So n star is just a set of counting numbers. So find the first 3 terms. So the first term, T1, is equal to the sum of the first term, is equal to S1, which should be equal to 2 into 1 squared minus 1. And this gives us 1 squared minus 1. Minus 1 squared times 2 is 2 minus 1. That gives us 1. The second term, T2, will be equal to S2 minus S1. That's the sum of the first 2 terms minus the sum of the first one of the first term, or the first term itself. So this will give us 2 into 2 squared minus 2. All this minus the first term is 1. So this gives us a value of when you subtract, we are going to have a value of 2 times 2, 4 times 2, 8 minus 2. So this gives us 5. This gives us 5. And the third term, T3, will be equal to S3 minus S2. And this will be equal to, our S3 will be equal to 2 into 2 to the power 3 minus 2. All this minus some of the first 2 terms. That is minus 5 plus 1 minus 6. And this will equally give us a value of 9. So these are the first 3 terms. Another way to do it is to look for S1, S2, and S3 first. In this case, then from there we can do the subtractions. Now you are being asked to find the common difference and state the type of sequence. Normally, so you should state the type of sequence, but what you have to do here is you find out that from 1 to 6, or from 1 to 5 rather, what have they added? They have added 4, because this sequence can be given as you have 1, 5, 9. If you look at this sequence, you find out that they are adding 4. 1 plus 4, 5. 5 plus 4, 9. So our common difference here is equal to 5 minus 1, which is equal to 4. And it's the same as 9 minus 5 is equal to 4. So therefore, this means that this is an AP, arithmetic progression. Why? Because there is a common or constant common difference. It's a constant common difference, so it's an arithmetic progression. So this is an arithmetic progression actually. Okay, the next question is question number 10. In question number 10, we are being given a matrix in the question. We are given the matrix A, 5, 2, 3, minus 1, and B, minus 3, 0, 1, 4. And to look for the transpose of the matrix A. So our matrix A is given by 5, 2, 3, minus 1. And we are required to look for the transpose of this matrix. Now, to get the transpose of matrix A, the transpose is given by interchanging rows for columns. So the first row here is 5, 2. It will become a column. 5, 2. The second row is 3 minus 1. It will become a column. 3 minus 1. So this is the transpose of matrix A. And then we are being asked to find the matrix A minus B. So our A minus B will be the matrix 5, 2, 5, 2, 3 minus 1 minus matrix B is minus 3, 0, 1, 4. And when we subtract corresponding entries, 5 minus minus 3 will give us 8 here. 2 minus 0 will give us 2. 3 minus 1 will give us 2. And minus 1 minus 4 will give us minus 5. So this is the matrix A minus B. Question number 11. We have a diagram which is drawn. It would be better for me to draw this diagram so that I can explain better. So we have this circle. Please pardon your teacher's circle. I know it can be funny, but just understand. Alright, so we have this circle. And this is the center. And we are told that this point is Q. This is P. And this is A. This is the center of the circle O. And this angle here is angle Y. While this other angle here is the angle 120 degrees. 120 degrees. And this is angle X. So 120. And this is angle X here. Alright, so from this diagram, we are supposed to, let me adjust the diagram a bit, so let me make it bigger rather. Let me really make it big so that it can be clear. So I take it again. And this is the angle Y. This is the center of the circle. And this angle is 120 degrees. While this angle here is angle X. So we are being asked to look for the value of angle X. Now, when you look very well, you will see that OP and OA are the radii of this circle. So from O to P, this distance is the same as this distance. Therefore means this angle here is also angle X. This is another angle X. Now, in triangle OAP, we should already know that there are two angles which are equal. That is giving us an isosceles triangle. We will have X plus 120 degrees, giving us 180 degrees. So 2x will be equal to how many degrees? 60 degrees, and x will be equal to 30 degrees. So that's the value of angle X. And how do we get the value of angle Y? To get the value of angle Y, we can use circle theorems. Now let's look at the chord AP. The chord AP, this is the chord AP. The chord AP subtends an angle of 120 degrees at the center. This same chord also subtends an angle at the circumference at Q. The angle at this circumference should be half the angle subtended at the center. It therefore means that our Y should be equal to angle 120 degrees on 2. And that will give us 60 degrees. So our Y is equal to 60 degrees. The next question is question number 12. Question number 12 concerns the coordinates of the points A, B, and C are 1, 3, 2y, 4, and 6 respectively. Given that A, B, and C are on a straight line, find the value of y. So let us look at these points. We have the point A having coordinates 1, 3, B having coordinates 2y, and C having coordinates 4, 6. We have been told that these 3 points are on a straight line and should find the value of y. If these 3 points are on the straight line, it therefore means they have a constant gradient. So the gradient AB should be equal to the gradient BC. And we know that gradient is change in y on change in x. So for AB, our gradient will be y minus 3, that's change in y over change in x, 2 minus 1 should be equal to the gradient of BC. So grad AB equals grad BC. The gradient of BC will be 6 minus y, all this on 4 minus 2. So here we'll have y minus 3 to be equal to 6 minus y on 2. From this point, we have 2y's minus 6. Let's multiply all through by 2, should be equal to 6 minus y. And this will give us 3y's. That will give us 3y's to be equal to 12. And the value of y will be equal to 4. So the value of our y is equal to 4. The B part says that we should find the length of the line segment AB, giving our answer in third form. That means there should be a root sign in our answer. We should not use the calculator. But we can simplify the root sign, the value, if it can be simplified further. So we should find the length of the line segment AB. Length of the line segment AB. So our AB will be given by AB will be equal to the square root of, so we can use the coordinates. Our y is already equal to 4 from our calculations. So this gives us, for the x, you have 2 minus 1 all squared, where the 2 is coming from B and the 1 is from A, plus, and these are the x values. Now for the y values, we have 4 minus 3, all of this squared. And what does this give us? This gives us 1 plus 1 square root. And that will be equal to root 2. So we left our answer in third form. Now, according to C, we have to find the ratio AB is to BC. But we don't know the length of the line segment BC. So using the same procedure, we can calculate BC. And when we calculate BC, that will give us a value of 2 root 2 from calculations. That's our BC. Such that the ratio of the length AB to BC will be given by root 2 is to 2 root 2. But root 2 is common. You can divide both. You can divide all through by root 2. That is divided by root 2. Divided by root 2. The root 2s will cancel out, and we'll be left with the ratio 1 is to 2. That's the ratio of the length of the lines AB and BC. Question number 13. Question number 13 is on probability. And we are being told that a ball is drawn at random from a box containing 6 red balls. 6 red balls. So we have red 6 red balls. and 4 white balls, 4 white, and 5 blue balls, 5 blue balls. So the total number of balls here in the sample space normally should be equal to 6 plus 4 plus 5, that is 15. Now we should find the probability. A ball is drawn at random, so it's just one ball. Find the probability that the ball that is drawn is white. So the probability of having a white ball will be equal to number of white balls divided by total number of balls, that's the sample space. And this will give us number of white balls. How many are there? We have 4 of a total of 15. So this is the probability that the ball is white. Probability that the ball is not red. Probability that is not red. R prime should be equal to number of balls that are not red, that is number of balls that are not red, divided by total number of balls. And from here, how many balls are not red? If a ball is not red, then it is either white or blue. So number of balls that are not red, we have 4 plus 5, all this on 15. So that gives us 9 on 15, which, 9 on 15, not 19 on 15. 9 on 15, which you have to simplify. Another way to get a ball that is not red is to say that 1 minus the probability that the ball is red. You still have the same value. Then the probability that the ball is a red ball or a white ball. Note, or here actually means that if the ball that you pick is a red ball, consider it. If you pick a ball that is a white ball, consider it. That is the or probability. So this gives us the total number of balls that are red plus number of balls that are white. But we know that since no ball can be white and red, the probability that the ball is white and red at the same time is 0. So the probability of having a ball that is red or is union or white, or you can just put or there, should be equal to number of balls that are red or white divided by total number of balls. And that will give us number of balls that are red or white. How many red balls are there according to the equation? We have 6 plus how many white are there? 4. Please, you have to be talking as well, although you are following the video. It's very important. On 15. So this gives us 10 over 15, which is equal to 2 on 3. So that's the probability that the ball is a red or a white ball. Question number 14, which is on networks. Question number 14. In the network graph shown in figure 4, alright, let's take a look. Let us draw this network graph. So this network graph is as follows. We have these points. This and this point. State the number of nodes. So state the number of nodes. How many nodes are on this figure? Nodes just means the endpoints, some endpoints, and this is a node, node 1, this is another node, node 2, this is another node, node 3, another node, node 4. So nodes we have, there are 4 of them. Number of edges, these are just the straight lines now. So number of edges, you can count them. This is an edge, another edge 2, another edge 3, another edge 4. So number of edges we have 4. Then the number of regions, this is where some students will make a very big mistake. If you look at this, consider this like your compound. This is a complete fence now. So there's just one area inside, and then the other area outside is considered as another region. So the number of regions here, there are 2 regions. You have this inside region, and you equally have the region that is outside, this outside region. So the number of regions, we have a total of how many? Of 2 regions. Please, you can get most of our work and our materials on www.gcemathspanel.blogspot.com. And equally, to take part in our awards for students at the end of the month from February to May, you can visit us equally on this blog online. Just type www.gcemathpanel.blogspot.com and you will be directed. You can equally join our classroom and follow us on Facebook for our live lessons, our live videos. Question number 15, the last question. We have that diagram that is there in front of you, and it is a bar chart showing 10 matches played and the number of goals scored per match by a certain team. So this is what we have, and this one goes up to 4, the next one goes up to 3, the next one which is just 1, and the last one is 2. So we have 1, 2, 3 and 4. So these are the matches, number of matches. So for the matches we have 2, 3, 1, 4. All right, so these are the matches that we have. Now you are being asked to find the number of goals scored in 2 matches by the team. Number of goals scored in 2 matches by the team. So in 2 matches they scored 4 goals, so that will give us 4 times 2. So according to this, in 2 of their matches they scored 4 goals. So the number of goals scored in 2 matches by the team, you have 2 times 4, which is 8. Then the total number of goals scored by the team last football season. So the total number of goals scored by this team the last football season, you have for this match they had 2 times 4, that's for the first match, for this particular match. And then for this match, for 3 of their matches they scored 4 goals. So you have 3 times 4 plus this match. In 1 of their match they scored 1 goal, plus 1 times 1, then plus 1 of their matches, or in 4 of their matches they scored 2 goals, plus 4 times 2. When you add all of that, that's going to give us a total of 26 goals. Thank you so much, and stay tuned. If there are any recommendations or any comments, please don't forget to comment on our blog, and please follow us on Blogger. If you have equally other materials, past questions, answers and so on, you can equally indicate sending it to gcemathpanel@gmail.com so that you can upload on the blog and help your fellow candidates or your friends and other candidates who are preparing for the exams. Thank you so much. It's been your host, Dr. Miles. Greetings to all the examination candidates out there. In this particular presentation, we are looking at part 2 of GCE O-Level 2020, paper 2. It is very important that before you start answering a question, you consider the time that you should spend on each question. If a question is too difficult, it's better to move to another one, and you can come back to this question in a later time. All right, so we begin with this section B, which reads: 3 friends, Mike, Pete, and John, bought a plot for 2.8 million from a man who agreed to be paid 65% of its value as initial deposit. Before we go ahead, let me remind you, it is very important that you have this question paper in your hand and you solve along or talk along. So the first thing to calculate here is the initial deposit. And from the question, we are being told that this man requires 65%, and the amount to be paid in total is 2.8 million. So the initial deposit I will be given by 65% of 2.8 million. And when we simplify, you will have a value of 1,820,000 FCFA. Now the paragraph introduces us to the B part of the question. The deposit is paid by Mike, Peter, and John in the ratio 5:3:2 respectively. Here respectively means the first name they have mentioned matches to the first number. That is, Mike is 5, Peter is 3, and John is 2. So if you calculate the amount paid by Peter using that ratio. So Peter's share, for Peter, we are going to have Peter pays 3 out of a total of how many parts? We have 5 plus 3 plus 2 times this initial deposit that is to be paid, 1,820,000. And when we simplify this, our result will be 546,000 francs. 546,000 francs. Now the next paragraph introduces us to the C part. Given that 91,000 francs is to be paid as processing fee for the documents, find the percentage of the initial deposit needed to process the documents. Find the percentage of the initial deposit that is needed to process the documents. Normally, the initial deposit we have here is 1.82 million, and this processing fee is 91,000. So this percentage will be given by, that is the C part, 91,000 divided by 1.82 million times 100% all over 1. And we'll simplify this and it will give us 5%. 5%. The D part of the question, calculate the balance expected to be paid to the man. To calculate the balance expected to be paid to the man. After this 1.82 million has been paid, the remainder from that 2.8 million that should be paid to that plot is the balance. So our balance here will be given by balance is equal to 2.8 million minus 1,820,000. And when we subtract this, it will give us 980,000 francs. 980,000 francs. Okay. Now the second part of question 1 reads, we are given the matrix M with coordinates 4, 5, 2, 3. And the A part of the equation says we should find the determinant of that matrix. So our det M will be equal to the product of the leading diagonal. Here, the leading diagonal is 4, 3. Let me indicate so that you can see this element here is the leading diagonal. So the product of that leading diagonal minus, so we have 4 times 3, minus the product of the off diagonal. It's very important to use brackets like this in case you have negative signs. 2 times 5. So this gives us 12 minus 10, which is equal to 2. So the determinant of this matrix is 2. The adjugate of this matrix be the adjugate, that's HM. To get the adjugate of the matrix, we just have to, the first thing is to swap the leading diagonal entries. So instead of having 4, 3, the leading diagonal, I'll have 3 here and 4. You swap the leading diagonal entries, then you change the signs in front of the off diagonal entries. So if the number is like this number here is positive 5, it now becomes minus 5. Here is plus 2, it now becomes minus 2. However, if it was negative, it now becomes positive. So this is the adjugate of this matrix. And in C, we have to look for the inverse. M inverse is given by 1 over det M times HM. The adjugate of this matrix, which we already have, and the determinant is already there. So our inverse is finally given by M inverse equal to 1. Our determinant was 2. Then our adjugate, what's our adjugate? Okay, we have 3 minus 5. And we have minus 2, 4. Minus 2, 4. When you simplify this, we'll have multiply each of the entries by a half. So we'll have 3 on 2, a half times minus 5, minus 5 on 2, a half times minus 2, minus 1, a half times 4, 2. So this is our inverse matrix. This brings us to question 2, and recall you can actually have this paper from our sites www.gcemathspanel.blogspot.com. Equally, if you have proposals or if you have guides for other papers, you can actually send to our Gmail so that other students can equally have access to material, especially those in remote areas which are difficult to be accessible. Question 2. The scores of 20 students in a physics test are recorded as follows. So those scores are recorded as follows. Those scores, we have 70, 80, 78, and so on. So the first thing we are to do here is to represent the above scores on the frequency distribution table. To represent these scores on a frequency distribution table. Well, I would like to copy out these scores again. I would like to copy out these scores. We have 70, we have 80, we have 78, we have 98, 84, 67, 98, 70, 80, 100, 87, 83, 70, 88, 91, 70, 78, 88, and another 88. So when you look at these scores, the smallest score here is 67. So to make a frequency distribution table, we have X, and then we have the various scores that are required. The frequencies here. The frequency. So the smallest score, let's start with the first one. Smallest score is 67. 67 appears just once, so 67 once. The next score is 70. I think that's the next big one, right? The next score is 70, so we have 70. 70 occurs how many times? Let us count. We have 70 here, 72, 73 times, 74 times. I think we have 74 times. Don't know what is 74 times, or actually 5 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 75 times. I think I omitted one when counting. So it occurs 5 times. 70 occurs 5 times. The next one is 78. And 78 occurs. You can now use a different way to represent it. Like the first one I used a triangle, second one I used a circle, and now I can use an X for 78. 78 occurs 1, 2. Okay, 78 occurs just twice, occurs 2 times, and we will do like that for all the scores, and then we obtain exactly what we have. So at the end of all of this, we will have a table that looks as follows. So we have score X, then we have the frequency F, so 67, we have 70, 78, 80, 83, 84, 87, 88, 91, 98, and 100. So this is what we have, and 100. You can continue to partition. Yeah, I'm sorry, this one is actually taking a bit of time, but it's important. So for the frequencies, we have 1, 5, 2, 2, 1, 1, 1, 3. We have 1, 2, and 1. Then the next thing, the next question says we should find the mode of the distribution. To find the mode of this distribution. So the mode. Now the mode is that value with the highest frequency. Let us look at our table. You see that the highest frequency is 5. It means that the number that occurs highest is 70. This therefore means that our mode will be 70. Our mode is 70, not 5. 5 tells us where the answer is, but the mode is not 5, it is actually 70. Then to find the median score, you have to look for the median score. For the median, when you look at all of these scores that you have on this table, at the end there, you see that the summation, the total number of scores we have, is equal to 20. There are 20 of these scores that we have. Now the median of 20, when you divide 20 by 2, we have 10. So there will be 10 on the left hand side, 10 on the right hand side. So the median occurs between the 10th number and the 11th number, such that there are 10 numbers to the right and 10 numbers to the left. But in this case, you see that there is no number at that position. In between 10 and 11, there is no number. So for us to get the median, we will take the number that occurs at the 10th position and the number that occurs at the 11th position and get their average. So from our table here, when we start adding, we see that from this point we have 1 plus 5, 6 plus 2, 8 plus 2, 10th. So the 10th number occurs at 80. So we have 80 at the 10th position, we have 80, and from the 11th position we have 83. So at the 11th position we have 83. We divide this by 2, and that will give us the median to be equal to 81.9. So our median here is 81.9. Now the next thing they want us to look for is to find the mean score. For us to get the mean score, it will be good for us to complete this table, because the mean is given by the summation of each score times its frequency. So x times f, I'm going to add another column here, x times f. Normally I prefer to do it vertically, but due to space constraints I have to do it horizontally. So 67 times 1, 67, 70 times 5, 350, 78 times 2, 156, 80 times 2, 160, 83 times 1, 83, 84 times 1, 84, here 87, here 264, here 91, here 196, and here 100. Now we have to sum all of this. When we sum all, we will have the summation of each score times the frequency. The sum of all of that will give us 1,638. 1,638. All right, let me move to the next page. So from this value, we can now obtain our mean using the formula. So our mean, x bar, will be given by the summation of all each score times its frequency divided by the sum of frequency. And this gives us the value of 1,638 divided by 20. The value will be equal to, on calculator, that gives us 81.9. That's our mean, 81.9. All right, the second part of question 2 concerns a straight line L1 that passes through the points P3, P4, P3 with coordinates 3, 4, and cure 1, -2, and meets the y-axis at the point R to determine the equation of the line 1. To determine the equation of this line. Well, we can just apply the formula directly, since we have been given the 2 points, to find the equation of this line. We have the points P3, 4, with coordinates 3, 4, and you equally have the points Q, with coordinates 1, -2. So I'll show you 2 ways in which you can answer this particular question. 2 different ways which students can use to answer this question. So you can use the formula directly, where the equation of line is given by y is equal to m into x minus x1 plus y1, where in this particular case m is the gradient, and the points x1, y1 can either be the point Q or P. So let me take P to be my x1, y1. Like it's better to always run away from negative signs because most students always make mistakes and they forget some things. So I prefer to use my P. No matter which point you use, you have the same value because it's the same line. So don't be bothered. So our gradient M is given by change in Y over change in X. That is Y2 minus Y1 on X2 minus X1. So this one can be my point X1, Y1, and this one X2, Y2. So my gradient will be minus 2 minus 4, that is change in Y, or change in X, that's X2 minus X1, give me 1 minus 3. So this gradient will give me minus 2 minus 4 minus 6 divided by minus 2. So the gradient of this line is minus 6 over minus 2, which is plus 3. So my equation can now be written as 3 into X minus, I'm taking the points P as my X1, Y1. So my X1 will be 3 plus Y1 will be 4. That's the equation of the line. But you can further expand and simplify. 3 times X give us 3X. 3 times minus 3 minus 9, then plus 4. And the final answer will be equal to 3X minus 5. Minus 5. This is very important because like in B, we are being asked to find the coordinates of the point R. But what is the characteristic of the point R? We have been told that this line meets the y-axis at R. It meets the y-axis at the point R. So it therefore means okay, let me just say my equation is like that. So this will be the point R, since this is a positive gradient. So at this point R, the value of X is equal to 0. Yes, because when a line cuts the y-axis, the value of X along the y-axis is always equal to 0. So my X will be equal to 0. That's what they mean. So the coordinates of the point R will be 0 something, which you have to look for. So now let us put 0 into this our equation here. Our y, let me just use what is here. From here we can get our y directly. Our y will be equal to we put 0 here, so 0 times 3, that is 0 minus 5 minus 5. So the value of y at that point will be minus 5. Therefore the coordinate of the point R will be 0 comma minus 5. So that's the point R. Let's move on to question 3. Question 3, given the coordinates of the vertices of triangle ABC, A 1 4, B 1 1, C 3 1, find the coordinates, that's the A part, find the coordinates of the vertices of the triangle A prime, B prime, C prime, obtained by rotating triangle ABC through 90 degrees anti-clockwise about the origin. About anti-clockwise and clockwise. Anti-clockwise, you go towards the right, all right, anti-clockwise left. All right, so you just hold your right hand, suspend it in the air, go upwards, then leftwards, downwards, rightwards, upwards again, and continue to form that circle. That is anti-clockwise. So that's exactly what they want us to do in this question. So position, left, down, right, up, left, so that's anti-clockwise. Let's see how we can obtain the coordinates of A prime, B prime, C prime by rotating through 90 degrees about the origin anti-clockwise. Right. Well, in my previous videos, I actually gave a shortcut, a very shortcut that you can use to actually obtain the coordinates of this point just by calculation. We know that the rotation matrix 90 degrees anti-clockwise is given by R equals 0, minus 1, 1, 0. If you look at Black June and some other papers which we have presented online, we have explained this there in details. And these my points, A, B, and C. I represent them in a matrix form. A is 1, 4, so I'll form a new matrix for these points. A is 1, 4, 1, 4. The point B is 1, 1, and point C is 3, 1. So at this point here, if you multiply this directly, this will give us, so this is my point A, point B, and point C. When you do the multiplication of this matrix, we will have this first row times the first column. That will give us 0 times 1, that is this 0 here, times 1, giving us 0, plus minus 1 times 4, plus this minus 1 now, times 4. Minus 1, so that will give us minus 4 here. Now this first row times this second column now, times this second column, 1, 1. So this gives us 0 times 1, 0, plus minus 1 times that, minus 1. This first row again times the third column. That gives us minus 1. Then we now move to the second row. The second row now times each of those columns. So we have now 1 and 0. So 1, 0 times 1, 4. That will give us 1. 1, 0 times 1, 1. That will give us 1. And 1, 0 times 3, 1. That will give us 3. Therefore means our A prime, B prime, C prime. These are A prime here. These are A prime, B prime, and C prime. So our A prime is move back to black. A prime is the matrix, or having coordinates minus 4, 1. B prime has coordinates minus 1, 1. And C prime has coordinates minus 1, 3. Minus 1, 3. Actually, this can equally be done by drawing. We can actually draw this and then we rotate and see how it looks like. Let me do this second method. Many students might like this one. Just that the constraint in drawing is going to be a bit stressful. Okay, so this is my Cartesian plane. Okay, it's calibrated like this. So have 1, 2. You have 1, 2, 3, 4. This y and this is my x. All right, now let me sketch what has been given. The points A 1 has 1, 4, B 1, 1, C 3, 1. So A is 1, 4, 1, 4. So this is the point A here. Then B is 1, 1. This is the point B here. And C is 3, 1. So this is the point C. Now I link them. So that's what I have. Now when I rotate this by 90 degrees anti-clockwise, look at this 1, 1. Look at what happens actually. This point 1, 1 here, when you rotate by 90 degrees clockwise, it will move from this point to this point. So it will not be like that. When you rotate the point A now, the point A by 90 degrees, you find out that A will actually fall about the origin, right? So rotate A by 90 degrees, it will still maintain this 4. This is a 1, minus 2, minus 3, and minus 4, but it will now be here.
So this is not my A prime. Then we rotate the point C 90 degrees. It will now be at these points you have here. So when you rotate, that's what we'll have. And this will be my point C prime. And this is B prime here. So from here you can see the coordinates clearly that is the same as the other values we had before. A prime is minus 4, 1. B prime is minus 1, 1. And C prime is at minus 1, 3. Minus 1, 3. All right, now another thing, the next question says that on a graph paper, taking 1 centimeter to represent 1 unit on both axes from -4 to 7 for the x values and from -2 to 10 for the y values, plot triangle ABC and A prime, B prime, C prime. All right, this is what we have already done even. This is good. So we have already done it according to what we have in front of us here. You can see it clearly. That's our A prime, B prime, C prime, though we have not followed the coordinates. And they're saying that taking triangle A prime, B prime, C prime to be mapped onto triangle A prime prime, B prime prime, C prime prime by a reflection on the mirror line x plus y equals 6. So I'm supposed to reflect A prime, B prime, C prime on that line x plus y equals 6 to have the triangle A prime, B prime, A prime prime, B prime prime, C prime prime. The first thing they want me to do is to make this Cartesian plane and as well indicate that line x plus y, and then I'm going to do the reflection using that line. Okay, so I'll have to draw this thing out again because the scale that they have given me now is a bit different. So let's see what we have. I might not draw everything, but okay. Yeah, I know the line is terrible. Yeah, but so I have, let me take 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. This is y. 2, 4, 6, 8. This is my 0, minus 2, minus 2, minus 4, minus 6. 2, 4, 6, 8. 4, 6, 8. 10. Alright, so this is my Cartesian plane I have. Now I have to indicate or to sketch the line x plus y equals 6. So according to this line, when x is equal to 0, y is equal to 6. And when y is equal to 0, x will be equal to 6. So I can easily sketch this line. X plus y equals 6. So it passes at this point 6 and equally at this point 6. So can link with my ruler. No, I'm not using a ruler as people know. So that's the line. Then this my triangle was already here. So let me just do it again. Let me just indicate it's at 4, 1 and 3. So the point is here 3. So this is my triangle. Now I have to reflect which of the triangles along that line. I have to reflect but A prime, B prime, C prime. So let me indicate my A prime, B prime, C prime again. I have this point here, then moves up to 3, and this one comes to 4. So this is it. Now from this line, since I'm to reflect this particular object, there should be mirror images. Mirror images. So from this, I know very well that this point C prime, let me indicate the point C prime, A prime, B prime. When I reflect this particular one on this line, I'm going to have these other points. I'm so expected to have something like this, that's having a shape of something like this. That's what I'm expected to have. But let's do it now. So I'll start by taking these points, and I'll take its upward distance from here, distance from this point to this line, this distance. And when I get to the line, I will move it like this. When I move it, it will fall at the point 3. So C falls at 3. That is C prime prime. Then I'll take the next point. The next point is B. I'll count the distance of B from this line. So B starts from here, and B moves upwards. So when B touches this line, I'll now extend the B, the number of units. My B prime prime will be here. And now I'll equally take C and do the same. I'll take C and do the same. So for A rather, move A upwards until it touches the line, then I move it in this direction. And you find that my A prime prime will fall here. This is a point. So this is a reflection of this. This is the triangle that we obtain. And from this triangle, our A prime prime has coordinates 5, 10. B prime prime has coordinates 5, 7. And C prime prime has coordinates 3, 7. So that is it actually for question number 3. And now we can move on to look at question number 4, which is concerning this function that is represented. So question 4 concerns the function that is represented. Now just take a look at that function before I read through. Just take a look at the function before I read. So we are given this quadratic function. As you can see, it's a quadratic function, and this quadratic function is defined by f of x is equal to 5 plus 3x minus x squared. And we are being told that taking values of x from minus 2 to plus 5, and using a scale of 1 centimeter to represent 1 unit on both axes, we should draw the graph of f of x. We should draw the graph of f of x. So let's see what we have. Well, my advice is that when you are given a scale like this, it's better to make a table of values. It is faster, and it makes sure that you avoid errors. And if you make mistakes, you can easily troubleshoot. So table of values for x, since I've given the values from minus 2 to plus 5. So from minus 2 to plus 5, minus 2, minus 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll now take this my function which has been given to me, and I'll break it into 3 parts. And this is what I'm going to do. Oh, okay, let me. Okay, let me take the function again. Sorry, I cleaned the board instead. So we have x minus 2 minus 1 0 1 2 3 4 and 5. So I'll take this function and divide it into 2 parts. So the first part of that my function is the constant 5. The second part of it is the term 3x, and the third part of it is the minus x squared. So I partition is my table, and here my y values will enter. Now let us start filling these values in. Since this 5 is a constant, I'll just copy it all through. Because it's not a function of x. Now the next thing is 3x. So each x value I have, I should multiply it by 3. So minus 2 times 3, minus 6. Minus 1 times 3, minus 3. 0, 3, 6, 9, 12. And how many do you have here? 15, of course. Yeah, 15. Then the last one, I will take each of the x values, square them, and multiply it by the negative. So I have minus 2 squared is 4 times the negative sign in front, minus 4. Minus 1 squared is 1 times negative, or times minus whatever. Minus 1, 0, minus 1, minus 4, minus 9, minus 16, minus 25. So this will now give me my y values when I sum. So my y values when I add, I have 5 plus minus 6 plus minus 4. That gives me minus 5. Here gives us a 1. Here 5. 7, 7, 5, 1, and minus 5. Now from here, if you look very well, you see that this is symmetrical, and if there is a mistake, you will see. For example, look at this, 7 and 7. Then moving away, you have 5 and 5. Moving further away, you have that, and at the ends, you have minus 5 and minus 5. And since the value, the coefficient of our x squared is negative, we expect that if we sketch a graph of this function, it is going to have this shape. It's going to have the shape of a hill. Right? It's going to have that shape. So now B, they're saying that okay, you're still in A. Let us now do the graph. We have finished making a table of values. We now move to the graph and see how we obtain it. Now, but we have to first of all look at this table. Look at the range of our x values. X ranges from minus 2 to 5. So our graph will be around that interval with respect to the x axis. And then the y value, the smallest y value is minus 5. And the biggest value is 7. So we can make a graph to be around the interval of minus 6 and plus 8. Just slightly above. So that we know exactly how to position it. Okay, so and then so here have my 0 blocking 0 2 4 6 minus 2 minus 4. minus 2, minus 4, minus 6. Okay, minus 6, minus 4. Then here you have 2, 4, 6, 8. This is my y-axis and this is my x-axis. So the first point is the point from data table that you have. When x is minus 2, y is minus 5. X is minus 2, y is minus 5. So we have this point. Let me make it in red. The next point, when x is minus 1, y is 1. X is minus 1, y is 1. So you have this point. When x is 0, y is 5. X is 0, y is 5 here. When x is 1, y is 7. X is 1, y is 7 here. Y is 2. When x is 2, y is 7. X 2, y is 7 here. X is 3, y is 5 here. And when x is 4, it is 1 here. And when it is 5, it is minus 5. So we have this point. So we can now link with a smooth curve. These are points. And that is the curve of the function y equals f of x. F of x, that's a function, the curve of it. Now, we are being told that using your graph, determine the value of x for which 5 plus 3x minus x squared equals 0. 5 plus x minus x squared equals 0. So normally this is the equation that we have been solving. So from our graph, we can actually see these values. Normally, when you use the graph paper, you see the values clearer than I have. But from here, you can state the values. And how do I see the values from my table? On what you have, where it cuts the x-axis, what's the x value at that point? The x value at that point, like here, you can look at the x value at this point. Like here. And another x value at this point. So this will give us the following values for x. For x, we will have x equals minus 1.5, and then another one. You can estimate. Some people have minus 1.6, some people have minus 1.4. It's okay. Normally they give a marking allowance. X is equal to 4.5. Some people may not have 4.5, they may have 4.4, some may have 4.6, slightly different, but the difference will not be that much. Okay. And then now we are being asked to find the gradient of the curve at the points where it cuts the y-axis. So they want us to find the gradient of this curve at this point here, where it cuts the y-axis. So we are going to make a tangent at that point. A tangent like this. Then we get the change in y and change in x from there. So this is a triangle we have formed. And from this triangle, you get the x value here and the x value at this point. To get the change in x values, look at these points and these points. Change in x. From there, you can get a change in x directly. A change in x will be equal to 2 minus minus 2. The value of x here is 2. Here is minus 2. Minus minus 2. That gives us 4. And change in y. Change in y will be equal to 9 minus 1. This value that is here. 9 here and then minus 1. So 9 minus 1 giving us a value of 8. And our gradient is given by change in y divided by change in x. That's how we calculate gradient. So change in y divided by change in x will give us that is 8 divided by 4, which is 2. So our gradient m will be equal to 2. When you calculate, change the y divided by change in x. Okay. All right, the B part of the question reads, that's the last part of this question. P and Q have position vectors 3, 2 and minus 1, 2 respectively. If OP is equal to 3OQ plus 2OR, find OR in terms of I and J. This is question on vectors, and they've given us the relationship. Normally, we know OP and we equally know OQ. So we can now look for 2OR using that relationship directly. So this gives us, we have OP will be equal to 3OQ use it this way. Plus 2OR. Remember to put the signs. So we are looking for 2OR, but we know the value of OP and OQ. So this will be our OP is 3, 2. The matrix form 3, 2 will be equal to 3 times OQ. OQ is minus 1, 2 plus 2OR. So when you solve for this equation, you have 3, 2 minus 3, 6 will be equal to our 2OR that we are looking for. So finally, 2OR will be equal to, when you finish solving in terms of I and J, as the equation is saying, will give us a value of 6, 2 minus 6 minus 4. So that's the 2OR. And that's why if you find the position vector of R, well, if 2OR is equal to this, then OR should be a half of this, which is 3, 2. And the position vector of R is OR equals 3 i's plus 2 j's. Thank you guys so much, and stay tuned as we upload other papers. Visit our blog for more materials, and equally take part in our end of month awards. This award is written online, and you have a cash prize that is sent to you if you win. Just get to our blog to get more information. GCE Math Panel Awards. You can equally follow us on Facebook every Sundays to see our program, GCE Math Panel. And don't forget to follow us on our blog to share this and to get papers and other material. Thank you so much, and bye bye. I'm your host, Dr. Miles.